The great hall of the Lightbringer Council glowed with soft blue light, its crystal walls reflecting the worried faces of the gathered leaders. High Speaker Ray stood at the center, his tall, slender form trembling slightly as he studied the holographic display before him. The energy readings were unlike anything their civilization had seen in its 5,000 years of space exploration. "It cannot be," he whispered, his voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber. "The legends spoke of them, but we thought they were just stories to frighten children." The other council members moved closer, their nearly transparent skin showing the rapid pulse of their hearts. The display showed a massive energy signature at the edge of their territory, deep in the outer rim where their mining colonies operated. The pattern matched exactly with the ancient records of the Planet Killers. "We must verify this," said Second Speaker Lynn, her voice steady despite her fear. "Send the probe ships." Within hours, their fastest unmanned vessels reached the location. The images they sent back caused even more concern among the council. Massive organic structures, each larger than a small moon, were slowly awakening from what appeared to be a millennia-long slumber. Their surfaces rippled with movement as ancient systems reactivated. "The Ravagers," Ray said, naming humanity's future enemy for the first time in 10,000 years. "They're real, and they're waking up." The Lightbringers were not warriors. Their civilization had evolved on a gentle world with low gravity and minimal environmental pressures. They had never needed to develop weapons or defenses. Their technological advancement had focused on art, science, and exploration. Now, faced with an ancient horror, they knew they stood no chance. "We must call for help," Lynn decided. "Surely among the stars, there must be someone who can fight." The council agreed unanimously. Within minutes, their most powerful transmitters were activated. The message was simple, broadcast on all frequencies, and in every known language format. "To any who can hear us, we are the Lightbringers. An ancient enemy awakens at the coordinates we are transmitting. Our civilization faces extinction. We beg for aid from any who have the strength to fight. We offer our knowledge, our resources, everything we have, in exchange for protection." The message repeated endlessly, traveling at faster than light speeds through the quantum communication network the Lightbringers had built throughout their territory. They waited, hoping someone would answer. Deep in space, aboard Earth's furthest monitoring station, Watchdog 7, Lieutenant Mike Thompson was about to end his shift when every alarm in the station activated at once. The quantum receivers had picked up something impossible: alien communication. "Control, this is Watchdog 7, he reported, his hand steady as he worked to record everything. "We're picking up a transmission. It's not one of ours. Sending it your way now." In the next 20 minutes, 4 other monitoring stations confirmed the same signal. The message was clear, and its implications were staggering. Humanity was not alone, and their first contact would be answering a cry for help. The United Earth Defense Council was awakened in the middle of the night. As they gathered in their secure chamber beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James Stone was already reviewing the preliminary data from the monitoring stations. "Ladies and gentlemen," he addressed the sleepy but alert council members, "what we're seeing here matches something from our own legends. Every culture on Earth has stories about them. The destroyers, the devourers, the great beasts that eat worlds. We call them dragons, monsters, demons. The Lightbringers call them Ravagers." He paused, letting that sink in. "And now we know they're real. The question is, do we answer this call? Do we show ourselves to the galaxy? Are we ready for what comes next?" The council chamber fell silent as they considered the weight of this moment. Humanity had long prepared for first contact, building their fleets, training their forces, always wondering if they would meet friends or enemies among the stars. Now they had their answer. They would meet both on the same day. The future of 2 civilizations, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested on their decision. The United Earth Defense Council's chamber buzzed with intense discussion. The room's massive screens showed the alien distress call playing on repeat, while tactical displays highlighted the coordinates of its origin. Admiral James Stone stood at the center, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of holographic star maps. "The choice is clear," Stone said, his deep voice cutting through the heated debate. "We've spent the last 100 years preparing our fleets, building our defenses, always wondering if we'd face friends or enemies in space. Now we have our answer. There are those out there who need our help." General Lisa Roberts, commander of Earth's ground forces, shook her head. "It could be a trap. We'd be revealing not just our existence, but our military capability to the entire galaxy." The council members muttered in agreement. Earth had kept its presence hidden well, using advanced stealth technology to mask their solar system from detection. It was a protection they'd maintained since discovering the first hints of alien civilizations 50 years ago. Stone walked to the main display and brought up the energy readings from the alien threat. "Look at these patterns. They match exactly with findings from the Mars dig site." He pulled up another image, showing ancient cave paintings discovered beneath the red planet's surface. The similarities were striking. Massive, organic-looking ships that devoured worlds. "Our ancestors knew about these creatures," Stone continued. "Every civilization on Earth has stories about them. The Chinese called them celestial dragons. The Norse spoke of world-eating serpents. The Mayans recorded visits from sky demons. Now we know why." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Council President Robert Brown stood up, his expression grave. "If we don't help, and these ravagers destroy the Lightbringers, what's to stop them from finding us next?" "Nothing," Stone answered simply. "And we'd face them alone, without allies or advance warning." The vote took less than 10 minutes. The decision was made. Humanity would reveal itself and answer the call for help. Within hours, the massive underground hangars beneath Earth's oceans began to open. The first expeditionary fleet, humanity's finest ships, powered up their engines. 50 warships, each a masterpiece of human engineering and determination, prepared for their first real combat mission. Aboard the flagship Terran Dawn, Admiral Stone stood on the bridge, watching as his crew took their stations. The ship hummed with power as its antimatter reactors came online. Around them, the rest of the fleet moved into formation. Destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels, all built to withstand the harshest conditions space could throw at them. "Send the response message," Stone ordered. The communication officer nodded, transmitting humanity's first official contact with an alien species. "Lightbringers, this is Admiral James Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received your distress call and are mobilizing to assist. Our fleet will arrive at the provided coordinates within 72 hours. Hold fast. Help is coming." As the message was sent, Stone turned to his tactical officer. "Show me the jump calculations one more time. We need to arrive in perfect formation, ready for combat. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do." The fleet's engines glowed brighter as they moved into jump position. Humanity had built these ships to be their shield against the unknown dangers of space. Now they would become a sword, striking out to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his executive officer announced. Stone took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. This was the moment humanity had prepared for, though they hadn't known it. They were about to show the galaxy why Earth, their supposedly harsh and deadly homeworld, had produced one of the strongest species in known space. "All ships, commence jump sequence," he ordered. "Let's go make some new friends." The fleet vanished in 50 brilliant flashes of light, leaving Earth behind and racing to meet their destiny among the stars. The human fleet emerged from jump space in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting the light of an unfamiliar sun. Before them lay the Lightbringer homeworld, its surface covered in gleaming crystal cities that sparkled like diamonds against the planet's pale purple landscape. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the Terran Dawn, taking in the alien sight. "Beautiful," he murmured, then turned to his crew. "Status report. 50 ships present and accounted for. "Admiral," his executive officer replied. "All systems normal after the jump. We're being scanned by multiple sources from the planet's surface." On the main screen, dozens of smaller ships approached the human fleet. They were elegant vessels that looked more like art pieces than spacecraft, their surfaces translucent and glowing with internal light. "They're hailing us," the communications officer announced. "Put them through," Stone ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen lit up with the image of a tall, slender being. Its skin was nearly transparent, showing delicate internal structures that pulsed with light. High-speaker Ray's eyes widened visibly at the sight of the humans. "By the ancient stars," Ray whispered, his translator converting his words to perfect English. "You're solid." Stone managed to keep his professional composure, though he heard a few chuckles from his crew. "High-speaker Ray, I'm Admiral James Stone of Earth. We received your distress call and have come to help." The Lightbringer leader seemed to be having trouble processing what he was seeing. We thought your ships were unmanned. The gravity readings from your vessels, the energy outputs, no living beings could survive such conditions. I assure you, High Speaker, our ships are fully crewed." Stone replied with a slight smile. "Perhaps we should meet in person to discuss the situation." The meeting was arranged quickly. The Lightbringers provided a docking bay for Stone's shuttle, though they had to adjust their artificial gravity to accommodate the humans. Ambassador Tom Reed joined Stone for the first face-to-face contact, bringing a small security team with him. The Lightbringer Council chamber was a marvel of architecture, with soaring crystal spires and floating platforms. But what caught Stone's attention was how carefully the aliens moved, how their bodies seemed to float more than walk. "Your world," High Speaker Ray said, studying the humans with fascination. "It must be terrible." Ambassador Reed smiled gently. "We call it Earth, and to us, it's beautiful, though I understand why you might think otherwise. Our gravity is much stronger than yours, our weather more violent, our temperatures more extreme. How do you survive?" Another council member asked. "We adapt," Stone answered simply. "Every species on our world evolved to face challenges. We grew strong because we had to." The Lightbringers shared their data about the Ravagers. The ancient enemy had last been seen 10,000 years ago, destroying dozens of civilizations before returning to hibernation. Now they were awakening again, their massive organic ships already beginning to move. "We've studied the records of their previous attacks," Ray explained, showing holographic images of the Ravagers. "They consume everything in their path: resources, technology, entire populations. No known species has ever successfully fought them." Stone watched the tactical displays with growing concern. The Ravager ships were indeed massive, dwarfing even humanity's largest vessels. But he noticed something interesting in their movement patterns, their attack formations. "They're predators," he said suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. "Look at how they move, how they hunt. They're using the same tactics Earth's apex predators use. We've spent our entire history learning to fight creatures like these." The Lightbringers stared at him, their inner lights pulsing with hope for the first time. "Your people," Ray said slowly, "you believe you can fight them." Stone shared a look with Reed before answering. "High Speaker, fighting predators is what humans do best. The Ravagers may be larger and stronger than anything we've faced before, but they're about to learn that size isn't everything." The humans had arrived just in time. According to the latest reports, the Ravager fleet would reach the first Lightbringer colony within days. The time for talk was over. Now it was time to show the galaxy why Earth's harsh conditions had created the perfect warriors for this moment. The scout ships returned from their reconnaissance mission, their sensors packed with data about the awakening Ravager fleet. In the Terran Dawn's tactical room, Admiral Stone and his command staff watched the recordings with grim faces. "Play it again," Stone ordered, his eyes fixed on the massive shapes moving through the darkness of space. The Ravager ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They weren't built, they were grown. Each vessel was a living thing, its hull made of thick, armored scales that shifted and rippled like muscles under skin. "Size comparison," he commanded. The computer overlaid a scale diagram. The smallest Ravager ship was twice the size of Earth's largest battleship. The largest was bigger than some moons. Commander Bill Hayes, the fleet's chief science officer, pointed to several bright spots on the vessels. "These appear to be some kind of organic weapons. They're generating energy signatures similar to plasma cannons, but the power readings are off the charts." "What about weak points?" Stone asked. "That's the interesting part," Hayes replied, zooming in on a section of hull. "Their armor isn't just tough. It regenerates. Look at this." He played a clip showing a small meteor striking one of the Ravager ships. The impact left a crater, but within minutes, the damaged area had grown new armor. The Lightbringer representatives in the room watched with increasing fear. "Now you understand," High Speaker Ray said softly. "They are perfect killing machines. Evolution shaped them in the harshest regions of space, where radiation and extreme conditions made them nearly indestructible." Stone turned to face the alien leader. "Nearly indestructible isn't the same as indestructible. You said they hibernate between hunting cycles. Why?" "We believe they must rest to regenerate their energy," Ray answered. "The ancient records speak of a great hunger that drives them. They consume everything in their path. Metals, organics, energy itself." "Hunger," Stone repeated thoughtfully. "That's a weakness. Everything that hunts has to follow certain rules. The bigger the predator, the more it needs to eat." He walked to the main display, studying the Ravager fleet's movement patterns. They were spreading out in a classic hunting formation, just like wolves or lions on Earth. The larger ships stayed in the center while smaller ones moved to the flanks. "Commander Hayes," Stone said suddenly, "what's the temperature reading on those ships?" Hayes checked the data. "Much higher than the surrounding space. Their biological processes seem to generate enormous heat. And the planets they've attacked in the past, what do they all have in common?" The science team quickly analyzed the historical data provided by the Lightbringers. A pattern emerged that made Stone smile grimly. "They've never attacked a high-gravity world," he announced. "Look at the records. Every civilization they've destroyed evolved in conditions similar to the Lightbringers. Low gravity, mild climate, minimal radiation." The room fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. "Their size works against them," Stone continued. "In high gravity, the energy cost of moving those massive bodies would be enormous. They'd been hunting easy prey, species that evolved in gentle conditions. But we're not gentle, are we?" The human officers straightened with pride. Earth had shaped humanity in its harsh forge, creating beings that could survive conditions most aliens found horrifying. Now that strength would be put to the ultimate test. "Admiral," Hayes interrupted, new data coming in. "The Ravager fleet is accelerating. They'll reach the outer colony in 18 hours. Stone nodded, his decision made. "Signal all ships. We're moving to intercept. It's time to show these ancient predators that they're not the only species that evolved in hell." As the human fleet prepared for battle, the Lightbringers watched in amazement. They had called for help expecting a technological solution, but instead they had found something far more powerful, a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this exact kind of fight, though they hadn't known it. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and Earth's children were ready for war. The Lightbringer colony hung in space like a delicate crystal snowflake, its spires glinting in the light of 3 distant suns. The human fleet waited in defensive formation around it, their dark hulls a sharp contrast to the elegant structures they protected. Ravager fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel in 3, 2, 1. The tactical officer's voice was steady as the massive enemy ships appeared. Admiral Stone's jaw tightened at the sight. The Ravagers were even more terrifying in person than in the recordings. Their biological ships pulsed with internal light, like giant deep-sea creatures. The smallest was twice the size of his flagship, while the largest blotted out the stars behind it. All ships, battle stations, Stone ordered. Remember your training. These things may be big, but size means nothing in zero gravity. Execute Plan Thunder. The human fleet split into 3 groups with practiced precision. The larger battleships moved to engage the Ravagers head-on, while faster destroyers swept around to the flanks. Support ships hung back, their advanced sensors scanning for weaknesses. The Ravagers responded with a bone-chilling sound that carried through space itself, a psychic roar of challenge. Their ships spread out in attack formation, biological weapons charging with terrible power. First wave, evasive pattern Delta. Stone commanded. Show them what Earth gravity training can do. The human ships moved with incredible agility, their inertial dampeners and reinforced hulls, allowing them to pull maneuvers that would have torn apart vessels built for gentler conditions. The crews inside, raised in Earth's punishing gravity, barely noticed the G-forces that would have killed most alien species. The Ravagers fired first, launching massive bolts of energy that could vaporize small moons. But they had evolved to hunt slower, weaker prey. The human ships twisted and rolled, engines screaming as they dodged attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. Return fire, Stone ordered. All batteries. The space around the colony lit up with human weapons fire. Railguns launched projectiles at relativistic speeds, while energy weapons carved into the Ravagers' biological armor. The enemy ships regenerated quickly, but the humans had anticipated this. They're adapting to our attack patterns, reported Commander Hayes from his science station. Their biological systems are learning, just like Earth's predators do. Stone smiled grimly. Then let's give them something new to learn. Execute Maneuver Thunderstorm. The human fleet suddenly shifted tactics. Ships that had been attacking in pairs now moved in complex 3-dimensional patterns, supporting each other with overlapping fields of fire. It was a battle formation that had evolved from ancient Earth naval warfare, adapted for space. A Ravager ship larger than most cities moved to engage the Terran Dawn directly. Its biological weapons charged for a killing blow, but Stone was ready. All power to forward shields, he ordered. Bring us in close, point-blank range. His crew executed the orders without hesitation, trusting their admiral's strategy. The Terran Dawn dove straight toward the massive enemy, closer than any prey species would dare to approach. They've never fought anything that fights back properly, Stone explained as his ship closed the distance. Their weapons are designed for long-range attacks against fleeing victims. Let's see how they handle close combat. The Terran Dawn's weapons blazed at nearly point-blank range, concentrating fire on a single spot. The Ravager ship's regeneration couldn't keep up with the focused damage, and for the first time in the battle, a wound in its living hull didn't heal. All ships, focus fire on damaged sections, Stone broadcasted to the fleet. Don't let them regenerate. The human battle strategy was working. What they lacked in size, they made up for in speed and coordination. The Ravagers were learning that their usual tactics of overwhelming force and regeneration meant little against an enemy that could avoid their attacks and concentrate enough firepower to overcome their healing. But the battle was far from over. The largest Ravager ships were still holding back, watching and analyzing the humans' tactics. Stone knew the real test was yet to come. Keep pressing the attack, he ordered. Show them that humanity doesn't know how to back down. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, and despite their initial success, the human fleet was beginning to tire. The Ravagers' ability to regenerate meant that even serious damage wasn't permanent, and the largest enemy ships still hadn't joined the fight. In the science lab aboard the Terran Dawn, Engineer Mary Wells hadn't taken a break since the battle began. Her eyes were red from staring at screens, but she couldn't stop. Something about the Ravagers' biological readings kept bothering her. Look at this pattern, she said to her team, pointing at a graph showing enemy ship emissions. Every time they regenerate, there's a spike in radiation, but not normal radiation. It's different. Commander Hayes joined her at the console, his uniform showing signs of the intense battle around them. different how. It's like they're afraid of it, Mary said, excitement growing in her voice. Every time our weapons produce this specific frequency of radiation as a byproduct, their regeneration slows down. They evolved in harsh conditions, right? But maybe they had to give up something to gain their other abilities. She quickly ran more tests, analyzing data from successful hits against the Ravager ships. The pattern became clear. Certain radiation frequencies disrupted their biological processes. "Get me the Admiral," she ordered, something she'd never done before. But this was too important for proper protocol. On the bridge, Admiral Stone was coordinating another defensive maneuver when Mary's call came through. He listened intently as she explained her discovery. "Can we modify our shields to emit this radiation?" he asked. "Better than that," Mary replied. "We can tune our weapons to maximize it. The Ravagers won't just be hurt, they won't be able to heal." Stone didn't hesitate. "Do it. Start with the Terran Dawn's systems. I want a test run before we modify the whole fleet." While Mary's team worked on the modifications, another battle was taking place on the ground. The Ravagers had managed to land smaller forces on the colony's surface, and Colonel Jack Cooper led the human marine response. "They're even uglier up close," Cooper muttered as he watched the alien boarders through his helmet camera. The Ravagers' ground troops were massive creatures that moved with frightening speed despite their size. But they were fighting humans, and humans had spent their entire history learning to take down larger predators. Cooper's Marines used their superior mobility and coordination to deadly effect. "Remember your training," he told his troops over the comm. "They're big, but we're smarter. Use the environment." The Marines demonstrated why humans were considered Deathworlders. They used the colony's architecture for cover, set clever traps, and coordinated their attacks with precision that the Ravagers couldn't match. The aliens had evolved to overwhelm weaker prey. They didn't know how to handle prey that fought back intelligently. Back in space, Mary's modifications to the Terran Dawn were ready. "Admiral," she reported, "weapons are reconfigured. The radiation will be focused and constant now." Stone didn't waste time. The Terran Dawn moved to engage the nearest Ravager ship, its weapons now glowing with a slightly different energy signature. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Where before the enemy's hull would heal almost instantly, now the wounds stayed open. The radiation penetrated deep into their biological systems, disrupting their ability to regenerate. "It's working," Mary shouted, watching the readings. "Their healing factor is down by 80%. Stone quickly ordered the modifications transmitted to every ship in the fleet. "All vessels, implement these changes immediately. This is how we win." The tide of battle began to turn. Human ships, already faster and more maneuverable, could now inflict lasting damage on their massive opponents. The Ravagers, faced with an enemy that could finally hurt them permanently, seemed to hesitate for the first time. In the colony below, Cooper's Marines received new weapons settings that had the same effect on the ground forces. The Ravager troops suddenly found themselves unable to heal from human weapons fire. "Look at that," Cooper said with satisfaction as a particularly large alien fell and stayed down. "Not so tough when you can't regenerate, are you?" The Lightbringers watched in amazement as humanity proved why they were different from other species. It wasn't just their physical strength or military might. It was their ability to observe, adapt, and overcome seemingly impossible challenges. The battle wasn't over, but now they had a real chance at victory. The Ravagers were about to learn that they weren't the only species that had evolved to survive in hell. The massive Ravager high ship finally emerged from its hiding place behind the system's outer planets. It dwarfed even its largest companion ships, its biological hull pulsing with angry red light. This was the enemy's true leader, awakened fully by the unexpected resistance of its prey. Admiral Stone stood on the Terran Dawn's bridge, watching the monster approach. "All ships, form up on me. This is what we've been waiting for." The human fleet gathered around their flagship, their hulls scared but proud. They had proven they could hurt the Ravagers. Now it was time to end this. "Engineer Wells," Stone called over the comm. "Are you ready?" "Yes, sir," Mary replied from her lab. "The radiation pulse is at maximum strength. Every ship in the fleet is synchronized. When you give the word, we'll hit them with everything we have." The high ship sent out a psychic blast that made every human crew member wince. It was a message of pure rage, the fury of an apex predator facing prey that dared to fight back. "That's right," Stone muttered. "We're not what you expected, are we?" Colonel Cooper's voice came in from the ground battle. "Surface forces are secure, Admiral. We've pushed them back to their landing zones. Give the word, and we'll coordinate with the fleet." The Ravager hive ship opened what looked like massive jaws, revealing a weapon that could tear planets apart. But Stone had anticipated this. The human fleet was already moving, splitting into smaller groups that the huge ship couldn't easily target. "All ships, execute Final Thunder," Stone commanded. "Hit them from every angle. Don't let up." The human fleet attacked as one. Smaller ships darted in close, their enhanced weapons disrupting the hive ship's regeneration. Larger vessels provided covering fire, preventing the remaining Ravager ships from helping their leader. The hive ship fought back with terrifying power, its biological weapons throwing out enough energy to vaporize small moons. But the human ships were too quick, too coordinated. For every blast it fired, they had already moved to new positions. "Energy spike," Mary shouted over the comm. "The hive ship is trying to adapt to our radiation." "Not this time," Stone replied. "All ships, full power to weapons. Cooper, light them up from the ground." Surface-to-space batteries on the colony, manned by Cooper's Marines, opened fire. The hive ship found itself caught in a three-dimensional crossfire, with nowhere to run and no way to heal. The massive creature let out one final psychic scream as its biological systems failed. The remaining Ravager ships, linked to their leader, began to fall into disarray. "Press the attack," Stone ordered. "Don't let any of them escape to warn others." The battle that followed was short but intense. Without their hive ship's coordination, the Ravager fleet fell to human tactics and technology. Some tried to flee, but the human ships were faster, running them down with the relentless efficiency of hunters who had evolved on a world that taught them to never let prey escape. When it was over, the Lightbringer colony hung untouched in space, surrounded by the debris of the most feared predators in known space. High Speaker Ray's voice came over the general frequency, filled with awe. You did it. You actually did it." "We protect our friends," Stone replied simply. In the days that followed, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. Other alien species, who had been watching from afar, came forward to make contact. They all wanted to meet the humans, the Deathworlders who had done the impossible. The Lightbringer High Council held a ceremony to honor the human fleet. As Admiral Stone stood before them to accept their highest award, he saw not fear in their eyes, but respect and gratitude. "Your people have changed everything," Ray told him during the ceremony. "For millennia, we thought our gentle evolution was the natural way of life. Now we understand that there is strength in diversity. The harsh world that created you didn't make monsters, it made protectors." Stone looked out at his crew, standing proud in their uniforms, then at the Lightbringer citizens, who now looked at humans with hope instead of fear. "That's what Earth taught us," he said. "The stronger you are, the more responsibility you have to protect others. We didn't just survive our harsh world, we learned from it. And now the galaxy is safer because of those lessons." As the ceremony ended, new distress calls were already coming in from distant systems. Other species, hearing of humanity's victory, were asking for help with their own challenges. The age of humanity hiding their strength was over. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had come not to conquer, but to protect.